Hello, guys. For anyone who just got here and wasn't here yesterday we did our very first ever SWRC stream with lots of fun ideas we sketched and speculated on the spot. And I was so excited that I forgot to record. So today is our take number 2 on this stream. When are we going to stream on YouTube? Well, we will be posting this, I hope, next Monday. But for the time being, we will be doing our streams right here. So we should be ready to go now. No use crying over stream milk. So let's just start this over again and go to some rapid fire spec evil looks at ideas you would be giving me in real time. So we are now ready to begin and we will be taking our very first suggestions. Are you guys ready? Right. Alright, so we have everyone ready. We'll be taking our first suggestion in 3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, we got a couple real cool suggestions so far. We have an idea here for vampires as flying squids. So let's do a real quick take at how that would look. I'm going to go with a Malamar body plan from Pokemon because I think that fits the idea well. We're going to be giving it 2 of its arms here, or tentacles. I think that's just a technicality. And we will be giving it these fins that will be acting as wings. There we go. This guy should be good to fly at any time, and his siphon, of course, will be pointing downwards because they will be shooting themselves out of the water like this. Whee! And now for the rest, we're going to give him the rest of his arms, looking here like really funky hair. Somebody asked what drawing software I use. I use GIMP. It's free to use and it's very good, so I really recommend it. And like we did with the Sharktopus episode, we're going to have some little inversion of how its features are arranged. Simply a matter of them moving over time. And now we have his hair, his wings, but he still needs arms. And that's what the 2 tentacles will be for. To grab onto their prey as they suck their blood. So here we have our first idea of the day, our vampire flying squid. What should... Yeah, that was Navi. It was a message I got to my phone. I already turned off notifications. So what should this guy be called? Vlad or Greg? Let's call him both. Squid's turn. There we go. Octocula. I really like that one too. Alright, so let's go to our second suggestion of the day. Let me see what ideas you have. And while you write it down right there, I will be drinking a little bit of water. Remember to stay hydrated too as well. Alright, so a biological gun. I really like that idea. Anthropomorphic fire, that's another good one for later. So, what's the basic body plan of a gun? I'm thinking this could be some kind of mollusk. We'll give him a foot that anchors it to the ground. And this will be a very modified shell. The siphon of this organism will be running through the inside here. We'll give him dual siphons, one for breathing and eating and all that pretty stuff, with this little barrier here to stop debris from going in. And the second one will be modified into this chamber where it will take sand from the substrate and move it upwards to form these small bullets. Yes, I will be re-uploading this to YouTube the following week, and the strength of this siphon will allow it to shoot this sand bullet out to attack any potential predators. So everyone say hi to our living gun. Hi gun, please don't shoot us. Alright, so that was very fun. Blasty, yeah, we should call it Blasty. Yeah, it is indeed a lovely name. So let's go with there are being mentions of a drinking bird idea. You know the ones? Those like I'm gonna draw them from memory because I learned nothing from yesterday. They sort of look like this, right? Alright, so this could be a bird or it could be something else. Maybe the bird's the word. Yes, the bird is indeed the word. Alright, so I don't have any great idea, so we're gonna go with a regular bird. Some Ukeko style big leg thingy, which was foreshadowing, was the inspiration for an episode we will be seeing soon, I hope. Here we have its small round body and barely any tail. It's a very heavy area, but it's not very long. Alright, so we have a long head which it will use to graze, to just grab food out of the water. Give me a second, I'm going to rearrange this real quick. And there we go. So this will be a grazing bird, and it will feed on aquatic vegetation. That's why it needs a long beak that it will dip underwater. So the reason for this motion will be that it just dips his head really quick to grab food and then looks up again just to check there are any predators around. So there we have, finally our own Spec Evo drinking bird. Yes, it is indeed like a tiny heron. Could it be a filter feeder? Yeah, maybe it could. That would be a good explanation. It just grabs some water and then looks up while he's filtering it. A land shark. And alright, so we have a good name for him. There we go. Cuckoo. Land sharks, I think those would also be good for their own episode, but meanwhile, I'll draw Jeff the land shark here. It will be a very ugly drawing because I'm not super used to seeing him, but he's a land shark. How wrong can I be? Possibly very wrong, but there we go. What kind of shark do I think Jeff would likely be? Maybe some kind of epaulet shark, since those are very land-based as it is. Is this part of the Heroverse? And yes, it is part of the Heroverse. Alright, so another idea was anthropomorphic fire. Well, I had a general idea for how fire could work as a living organism. This was one of my first ideas for this concept, so if anyone else has another idea, please let me read it in chat. Like we have this slug, really big slug, and it has projections from its tissue, which are, I don't know if anyone can hear that background noise. I hope not, because it's really annoying, but here we go. And these projections are full of venom cells, stingers, which cause a burning sensation similar to that felt when someone is stung by a manowar or a jellyfish. It even leaves some burning marks. I can write. Some burning marks on the victim. So that's an idea for living fire, and if you wanted it to be, yes, Witherbread just said it could be bioluminescent. Yes, that's a great idea. It's also bioluminescent. And if we wanted it to spread like fire does, we should have it just reproduce an awful lot. Very quick reproduction. So that once it passes and leaves its tiny bioluminescent eggs behind, which would look like embers, we'll have all the tiny living fire slugs left in its wake. So there we go. I know the original idea was for anthropomorphic fire, if I read it right, but, well, we just make it so, for cursed reasons. Behold, a man. And now, what's that? An our selected species that nobody wants to eat. That's an ecological disaster in the making. Well, yes, it would be, if not for the living water. So let's see our very next suggestion. Let me see what you got in mind. A monkey dromaeosaurid. Alright, so yeah, fossil reconstructions would probably be best for their own video, because I feel there's a lot of potential to be had there. So, a monkey dromaeosaurid. Well, let's start with a very basic dromaeosaurid body plan, but make the tail much longer. Alright, so I'm reducing this little guy's face. Because it's now a frugivore. So it has flat teeth that allow it to eat fruit. Alright, I think everything is fixed now. Sorry about that, guys. And here is our monkey dromaeosaur. Anyone can think of a good name for him? Yes, this is our second frugivore theropod, that's true. Okay, I'm getting Josh, Bob, Dexter, Monkeysaur, Goober. I like Goober. Everyone say hi to Goober. Hi Goober. Let's go to our next idea. Alright, a dino turtle. I think the dinosaur most likely to become something resembling a turtle would be an ankylosaurus. So here we have a big shell which will be formed from its osteoderms. We'll give it now the tail makes it look less like a turtle, so let's revert that. Since it has a very strong shell formed from its osteoderms, we no longer need a strong striking tail. So let's remove that and give him his tiny dinosaur face. The limbs will be going straight down, unlike those sprawling limbs of many turtles. Because this is a dinosaur and not a turtle, so it wouldn't be right to give him that kind of limbs. And we'll give him some dino flavor with these spikes around the body, which it will retain for protection since it does not have a plastron on the downside of its body. So here we go. Say hi to our little guy. Alright, we have a name for him. Emil. Emil Jefferson, aka Dr. Jeff. Let's call him that. Alright, so let's go with our next suggestion. And T-Rex chicken. Well, I think that will have his own video down the line, so a beetle based on our logo. Well, let's see how that looks like. We have a tiny face and a thorax, and here we have the elytra, which will be the base for our shield. We cannot give him letters on the back, so we will just make some patterns that look like letters, just so we can have an idea of how that would look like. And here we have his little face. This would be the crest on top, just with some little patterns as well, and some very fluffy antennae. Professor Kift says Dr. Jeff became intelligent due to a unique fungal organism. Yeah, that's why he works at the center currently. And here we have our logo. And just as a fun idea, let's draw him flying. Wings open. And we'll just make this look like the pages from the book in the intro. with some patterns as well to daze potential predators. Here we go. Say hi to our little bug. Alright, so next idea. Let's go. Sketching you the chat. Well, here we have a head. That's pretty much what people look like, right? Somebody has to look like this in the world. Are all these ideas canon in the verse right now? I don't know. Maybe some of them. I'll have to decide on a case to case basis. Maybe I'll stamp a canon logo. And here we have this fungal organism growing on this poor sap's brain, which in this case would be me. Oh no. And this organism is making our guy hear voices. Yes, finally, inside out. Spec Evo version. So here we have our guy who is very alarmed at hearing all of these voices. There, Spec Evo chat. This guy is hallucinating all the little voices that tell him what to draw. As long as the host doesn't know, well, I know now, so as soon as we finish this stream, I will be drinking fungicide. Sorry, guys. Bye to you. Now, let's go for our next one. Living sombrero. I like that idea. Once again, remember to stay hydrated. So, yeah, this is a chill version of Bill Cipher. A living sombrero. Mm, right, so I guess this is gonna be weird, but I guess this is what a sombrero looks like. Alright, so what kind of organism could it be? First thing that sprung to mind was a very small. I guess you could say we're pretty fun guys. Yes, yes, you are. Oh, no, another version of our flying saucer, but a tiny version that instead of having accessory bodies, it doesn't have any. Instead, it lands on people's skulls and connects with them. These accessory bodies are placed inside the host to control it to a certain degree. So there we have our living sombrero. I'm going to give him some patterns here because they usually say something like Viva Mexico. So these patterns are signals for others of their species. Don't you hate it when that happens? Yes, yes I do. Does the sombrero make people talk in stereotypical Mexican accents like Speedy Gonzalez? No, we just do that naturally. That's just what we sound like because the entire country is overrun with these guys. UFO Cultural Appropriation Edition. Yes, yes it is. Well, I'm Mexican, so I can say it. Alright, let's go for our next suggestion. What do you guys have in mind for the next one? A hammerhead man. You mean like a hammerhead shark, but man version? Okay, a man with a hammer for a head. Alright, so we all have a basic idea of how people look like, right? So this part of the body would be the same for now, but our guy has a very long and strong neck. Why? Because its head is adapted to make fruit fall off the trees, which is which it does using this protrusion from the skull. This is a very hard bony protrusion, which allows it to hit the trees. And this down here is a counterweight so that it's not too front heavy. Of course, this part would be constantly hitting everything, so the sensing organs themselves cannot be there. We'll place them lower around here. And here we have our little guy. What name should we give him? Alright, this is Homer. There we go. He's very excited about this. Alright, there we go. And we have 5 minutes left on our free stream, so let's go with our next. Now draw Bart Simpson. Let's just draw him really quick while I read these suggestions. Living blanket, well, I have an idea for a cryptid that looks very much like that. I can't remember its name right now, so we'll leave that idea for its own time later on. So this is a juvenile hammerman. It still has not developed the thick skull of its parent, so it just looks like this. There we go. Crawfordville monster, I don't know what that is. Is the video a flying carpet? No, it's not. I can't remember the name, it was a cryptid, but we'll see that one eventually. Oh, it's called the Crawfordville monster. Alright. Perfect as living creatures. Alright, let me just look up real quick what's that, because I don't remember anymore. Okay, so it's a dessert. Alright, this gives me an idea based on our holiday season episodes from a couple years ago. This will be a fungus. I don't know if this is what it is, but I looked up Parfait and it looks like a yogurt cup. So this is a hard fruiting body, which incorporates a lot of silicates to make it very hard and fragile. And inside it is a very sweet and soft mucilagus-like structure, which it uses to attract dispersers of its spores, which are found around this looking like delicious stuff, like berries and granola and that kind of stuff. So it will attract something that will feed on this and disperse its seeds. Well, not seeds, its spores. I'm a great biologist, am I not? And well, that was a lot of fun. We have 2 minutes left, so if anyone has any real quick idea we can do, let's go for it. A living balloon. Well, we'll expand this in a future episode, but I feel this should be some kind of floating jellyfish. I'm not ignoring the megafaunal insect idea, just I want to do that on its own later on. So here we have a jellyfish with a long, stinging tentacle. So don't grab them by that string because it will hurt a lot. And it has its own flotation sac. There we go. A living balloon. Alright, so that would be it for today. I'm sorry there were some technical issues during this stream, but we will be fixing that the more of this we do. Is it in danger of being popped by the balloons monkeys? Yes, the balloons monkeys are very well known aerial fauna, atmospheric fauna, so they are a very common predator of the flying balloon. Thank you guys all so much for being here, and I hope we have a lot of fun doing a lot more of these streams. We will be uploading this to YouTube sometime later, so be ready for that. And well, thank you all guys. I'm signing off right now and bye.